Hello, welcome back to another Fashion Trail. I'm Jacob Booksmart, and today we are doing part 2 of the book haul, I guess. In part 1, I'll link it if you guys haven't seen it yet. I hauled a bunch of books where I talked about, I had another book haul to do, but this one is mostly just like Sarah J. Maas, Cassandra Clare novels that I've slowly collected over the few years that I haven't done a book haul yet, and I figured I can just run through all the books I purchased of them. And I have a few other scroungers that were pretty old on my book buying list that have not been hauled yet. I figured I'll cover those ones as well. Plus, if you missed that, we're also stamping all the books I'm hauling. This was given to me by my sister, and I just adored it. I'd like to mention, out of the first group of books, I'll mention if I've read them or not. Almost every book in this list I have read. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. The first one being The People We Met on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the second book I've hauled by Emily Henry. I read Beach Read and Book Lovers. I've not read this one, and I've not read her newest. I think I'm going to do a book video where I'm reading both these in a single video, just catching up on Emily Henry's reading, and I also might rank her 4 books that she has out. That's a video that I'm sure will be coming. I have 2 or 3 authors I plan on doing that. I really enjoyed doing the Taylor Jenkins Reid one, so why not cover this one as well? I already stamped this one. It was my first one I ever stamped. I just didn't show it on camera. Very excited. I just know these are 2 people who knew each other beforehand and then they crossed paths on vacation. Something along those lines. I'm interested. The next one being Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. Like I said, this one came out a few years ago and I never hauled it, and so here we are. This one was one of my most anticipated books, and it just didn't live up to my hype. From what I understand, because I've had friends read it who are parents, it's perfect for if you have a kid. It's just, I'm not there yet in my life, and so I feel like on reread, this could be a 5. I don't think it was a 5 on my first initial read. Not my favorite. I'm gonna have to do it on the cover page because I have this sign. Don't get me wrong, The Hate You Give is amazing and it's perfect. I would recommend it to everybody for the simple messages and stuff that are talked about in the way police brutality and different things are like very much nuanced there. But my favorite Angie Thomas I've ever read is On the Come Up, and it's just perfection. Either way, she signed it. It's beautiful. I love it. The next one is a whole video. I have a whole video talking about Breakable Things. I'll link it, by Kay Weismer. This is her latest poetry collection. I think it's about a year old now, maybe 2 years old now. I can't really remember. 2022, so it's a year old. There's a few. I plan on getting the major editions for marionettes and stuff. Still very much into Kay Weismer. I know I have several reviews coming up for her individual novels as well. And we have Case McQuestion for One Last Stop. I talked about her other one. This came out a while ago. This one I very much enjoyed. I need to reread it. I've only reread Red, White, and Yellow, Blue. I read that one like 40 times a year. It does not count by this point on my reading list. This one I definitely think would be worth a reread, and so I think I might be rereading it. Plus, it's signed, which I fucking love, because this is the only one that's signed, because the other one, I had this ordered 6 months in advance. Those are the scroungers. Those are the ones that didn't have a place in the last video. Everything else from this point forward is series. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'd like to mention some of these have videos already talking about the books without talking about the book. The first thing we're going to jump into, and that is Throne of Glass. I have obviously bought the entire Throne of Glass series. I did that back in last March. The reason why this was never hauled though was because I was planning on doing a whole video when I unbox the box set. Now let's talk about individual books and why I chose the paperback route instead of the hardback route. For a lot of reasons. This is a 1,000-page novel, if you did not know. I loved it. I adored it. The review, the book thingy will come out eventually. I loved it, and this is a very big reason why I chose the paperback, other than the fact that the price is so much cheaper than buying a hardback collection. The hardback collection's upwards of $130, whereas the paperback collection was, I think, came in about $45 or $50 or something like that. I'd also like to mention I own 3 of these on digital. Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and Tower of Dawn I all own on digital because I was reading at one point or the other on digital. That's the reason why I chose paperback editions for these. This is what King Nash looks like, in case you guys are curious. The pages, I will not lie, were perfect for a reading experience, but they are so flimsy. I was so scared the entire time reading it that they were just gonna fall the fuck out. I would like to mention that in case you guys were interested in buying the same set. I meant to show you my stamping. I don't think I've been doing that. That's where I put the stamp. We have Tower of Dawn. This is book, that's the final book in Throne of Glass. This is the book before it. Casing said stamp. Empire Storms. This is the book before Tower of Dawn. I can't decide if Empire Storms or Kingdom of Ash is my favorite one out of the series. It's definitely one of the two. I still do think Crown Midnight's one of the best sequels I've ever read. I put the stamp there. Queen of Shadows. I'm very excited to reread these on the ones that I didn't get to tab. And to be fair, I could have tabbed Kingdom of Ash because I read a lot of that physically. I just didn't feel like. We have Throne of Glass, which I read with a library copy, so no tabbing because of that reason. This is obviously the originally first novel in the series. Goes like that. Air of Fire. This is book number 3 in said series. Very much enjoyed. Goes like that. Crown Midnight, the book I was just talking about. This is the second book and one of the best like direct sequels to a novel in my stamp. And then The Assassin's Blade, which is a novelle bind up, which you can either read after book number 4 or book number 0. I'm not going to tell you my opinion there because eventually I will make a whole video on. I actually think I'll make a TikTok and I'll upload it on YouTube as a short. I think it's how I'm gonna decide to do it, or I'm just gonna upload it as a TikTok and you guys can go follow me over there. Moving over to the big boys. The big boys are of course all of my Shadowhunters. Now, as you guys can tell behind me, I have more Shadowhunters sitting right here. That I have hauled before, which is why it's not over here. On this side, I've hauled all of these before in one way, shape, or form. And if you can see back there, that's City of Bones. I have several copies of the original Shadowhunters series. I also have several copies of the Infernal Devices as well. I'm just going to talk about the ones that I bought as a collector's set because I've not hauled those ones yet. So the set that I ended up buying, I don't even showcase. The whole reason why I bought it, it was showcased in my previous 2 bookshelves like order or whatever, the way they're set up. But the way my bookshelves are currently set up, there's just no logical way of showcasing them, and so they're not. It's fine. And that is the paperback editions with the illustrations on the side, because the illustrations all go together, and it's gorgeous, and it makes such a gorgeous, like, spine. I'd also like to mention they're doing it for the entire Shadowhunter series. I don't know if like the Elder Curses are getting them and stuff like that, but the main series and things are all getting them and they look gorgeous, and so I bought the entire thing in the sets. I can't wait to show you. My favorite ones are for Dark Artifice. But anyway, starting from the beginning, a book that I will definitely be reading this year that I'm super duper excited to read, and that is City of Bones. I've only read City of Bones once, and it's been a very so long of a time. I just think with all the information that I have now on City of Bones and stuff, I just feel like I'm going to fucking adore this novel. There you go. Going from City of Bones, also I like these covers better because they redid the covers as well. Going from City of Bones, we have City of Ashes, which has Clary on the cover, and that's the side. I'm not entirely sure who's on the side. It also could be Clary, but that's what the side thing looks like. Stamped. The next one being City of Glass, which that looks like probably Alec to me. Alec tends, yeah, because it's Alec on the side. He tends to have his bow and arrow, so it's kind of weird that he doesn't here. He's more down in the dumps here. This is actually the end of the first trilogy, and I will make a video talking about what that means. And I feel like a lot of people want to get into Shadowhunters who have never read it before, but are scared too because it's so big. And so I'll explain how to read them. Then we have City of Fallen Angels, which is number 4. This is Isabella on the cover, and she's also on the side with her whip. She has a special necklace, which you guys can see here. Not giving too many things away. The really fun thing is I can't remember what happens in this book and what happens in my other books, and so I'm very excited to reread these to kind of place the timeline back in order because it's been so long. We have City of Lost Souls, which is probably my favorite Shadowhunter book of all time, and we have Alec again, which makes me believe the other cover is Simon, not Alec. And we have Alec on the side here. Yeah, okay, that's Simon. I don't know why he has a bow and arrow there, but that's who that is. I would like to mention that, yes, I understand City of Lost Souls is one of the most problematic books in the entire franchise. And I also like to mention that there's like 3 action sequences in this entire novel, which pisses a lot of people off, but it's still one of my favorites. I can't wait to reread it to really solidify it in my top books. And once I finish my entire reread of the Shadowhunter series, I'll rank them all. I'll rank all the characters. I wanted to do a whole entire reread in timeline order while also doing the reread for publication order. So yeah, okay, I'm not going crazy. Then we have Fire, which is the final book in the Mortal Instruments series, or TMI. I can't tell you. It is a character. If you have any understanding of what's going on in the book or at all, you'll know what that is. That is a direct reference to that novel. My gosh, what a spoiler. The next one, the first one being for the Infernal Devices, which is Clockwork Angel, which at one point I was tabbing the shit out of, and then I just really wanted to read them and enjoy them. So yeah, this one has Will on the cover. It also has gorgeous spine. Again, whole reason why I bought these versions of these books. So yeah, I'm curious how many people care about this. Then we have Clockwork Prince, which has Gem on the cover, and that's what the spine looks like. These are the prequel series called the Infernal Devices that I don't recommend reading first. Lada. And then lastly, we have Clockwork Princess, which has Tessa on the cover, and this is the last book in the Infernal Device trilogy. Mortal Instruments is the only one that has 6 books. Everything else has trilogies, because technically the Mortal Instrument is 2 trilogies combined. Alright, next series I'd like to mention, I've already talked about the final book in this trilogy in the first book haul. But that being said, we have Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, the first book in the last hours. This is Cordelia on the cover. And because these are the only hardbacks I currently own of the entire Shadowhunters, because they don't release the paperbacks I like until this series is over, that's where the stamp goes. And I like the fact that it's just like a clean white page with it. I also sadly don't have any signed copies of these. I do plan on getting signed copies for the entire Dark Powers series whenever that starts. Next one being Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, book 2 in the last hours, and it is Lucy on it. These are my favorite covers. Do a redesign for them, but also it's my favorite spine, and that is The Dark Artifice. First one being Lady Midnight. Lady Midnight once again looks exactly like it. I want to point this out in case you're looking for these exact editions for your shelves, because it took me a very long time to find the Dark Artifices as a set, because of the fact I thought they would redo the covers like they redid the covers for the Mortal Instrument. But look at that. Oh my god, like it combined having the entire, it's gorgeous. That right there is, what is Emma Carstairs on the cover. Next one being Lords of Shadows, and then is Julian on the cover. And look at it, it's so beautiful. I can't explain why it's gorgeous, but if you've read the books, oh my gosh. And then lastly, we have Queen Aaron Darkness herself, and that's Annabelle on the cover. And look at that gorgeousness. Oh my fucking god. Also, if you're looking for the hardback versions of this novel, Queen Aaron Darkness, please try to search for the ones that do have back cover for it, because it's gorgeous and I do recommend it. And then lastly, closing out this video, we have 2 last books to talk about, because I'm pretty sure I've hauled my collectioner sets. I don't know if I did or not, but we're going to assume I did. I also have the entire Sidner series on there, and I know I've hauled a few of them, which is why we're not talking about today. Either way, we have Red Scrolls of Magic, which is the first book in the Elder Curses. I'd like to mention that please look up where in timeline these go. You are not spoiled for anything, but that is Alec on the cover. I literally cannot talk about what these books are about without giving spoilers away. And we have the Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wes Chu, obviously, but this is book 2. These are the only 2 books that are currently out for the series, and that's Magnus on the cover. I'm really curious to see who they're going to put on the cover for the 3rd one, if it's going to be both of them or not. I only say this because, like, if you've read the books and you're familiar with the current timeline in the Shadowhunter world, I have a theory that it's going to be somebody else, because I have a feeling we're going to jump far enough ahead. A certain character who gets introduced, I think in Red Scrolls of Magic. It might be the Lost Book of the White. I can't really remember exactly. I think we'll be fully developed and everything by the time we meet them again. And so I think they could be like a whole cast. And so I feel like it's a possibility that they could be like a prominent character. We could also go with like one of the villains of the novels as well. So things possible. That being said, that's my Shadowhunters and Throne of Glass collections that I have collected over the years, plus a few scroungers, like I said. I'd like to mention for Shadowhunter content, in case you guys are curious, I will be doing a how you should read video, and then I also will be doing a reread in timeline order video, because I read them all in publication order, which I'll talk about in that video. And so I'm rereading them all in timeline order, and I've broken them up into 3 different chunks and reading all the novellas that go in timeline order and everything else with it. It's a lot. I'll talk about more then, so there's plenty of Shadowhunter content coming this year outside of my Chain of Thorns. Yeah, that's right. Chain of Thorns coverage. Get excited. Alright, that being said, I'll talk to you guys all very soon with another video soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.